Looking for something to read? Well, these are the books that I've written. Hop on down to the description to find the Amazon links for all 4 of them, and keep your eyes open for more in the future. With that said, on to the video. Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am the Omni viewer, and I know I haven't been reviewing them all that frequently, but I actually have been collecting Hiya Toys different monsterverse figures, and for the most part I've been satisfied with them. Kong, I thought they did a good job with how they handled the axe and his different facial expressions and everything. I made a video on him. I didn't make videos on either Rodan or Mothra, but I was very impressed with them. Not only are they bigger than what NECA and Monster Arts provided, they also look so much better, just overall. However, there was one particular figure that I felt they could have done a little bit better with, and that was Godzilla himself. For the most part, this original Godzilla that they had was really good, except for the neck. The neck was the one part that just didn't work. Why? Well, in case you need a reminder, for starters, the pieces are really loose. I mean, look at this. I can almost completely rotate them around. They're very, very loose in there. And of course, you can tell that they're not quite attached where the head is. Like, there are obvious gaps in there that, I mean, obviously with a highly articulated figure, you're gonna have noticeable visible joints and everything, but the idea is to try and hide them as well as possible. And on the neck portions, you can't always do that, especially if you try to angle the head up. Look at this gap right here. Well, it was unfortunate, but otherwise it was a good figure. I think a lot of us were thinking, if only it weren't for this part, it would have been great. And this is one of those rare times where I can say I don't think I was the only one who had that issue, because NECA announced another version of Godzilla where they specifically said they had heard the feedback and they were going to address that neck issue. And they did with this 2019 version of the figure. Now, for all intents and purposes, this is essentially the same figure as before. There's only, if you look, there's very slight paint variation. One thing you might notice is that it looks like the new one is slightly taller. That's actually because the original figure is angled forward a bit more, whereas this newer iteration is a bit more erect, if you will, and don't read into that. But the real question is, did they really improve the neck? That's the big issue here. And yeah, they did. You can see I'm trying to move the pieces. They do not rotate all that easily. And you can angle the head up and not have the seam be broken. Yeah, it works. Now, you could argue that maybe they did it a little too well, because the range of articulation isn't quite what the original one had. And they also, in sculpting the new head, resulted in a mouth that doesn't quite open as far as the original figure's mouth does. Although the tongue can still move inside. All the articulation is otherwise exactly the same. So, yeah, I guess a couple of sacrifices still had to be made, but otherwise, I would indeed say that this is a huge improvement. It's the same figure, like I said, but they fixed this. They fixed the one glaring issue, which means Hiya Toys listens to feedback and they make improvements where necessary. And this is why I think I'm going to keep following them as they produce more Monsterverse and even original Godzilla figures. Original being like from Toho, not the Monsterverse itself. Something I really like, when a company hears the feedback and actually does make improvements. And this is an improvement. Even if there are a couple of sacrifices that had to be made, it still looks good. It's still got all the articulation there. The major issue is fixed. So, yeah. The neck is now what it should be, and the figure is what it should be. Maybe it's still not 100% perfect, because like I said, there are some sacrifices, like can't open the mouth all the way, the movement of the head is slightly more limited. Still, what we're looking at is basically a figure that went from an A- to a solid A. And I would say that's worth it. There are some other things I can point out, like on this one, some of the spines are a little bit curved, and the waist joint doesn't really move that much. Not that it moved that much on the first one. But I'm used to getting figures that are just the tiniest bit warped in some way at this point. So that's something I can live with. Anyway, if you were wondering whether or not the new Hiya Godzilla was an improvement, it is, absolutely. And if you haven't gotten the original one, I would say get this one instead. But again, don't buy beyond your means. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say about this. Until such time as we meet again, this is the Omni Viewer signing off. Thank you all for watching. If you want to see us keep doing what we're doing, you might consider doing all the usual YouTube things, as well as hopping down to the description to find links to DeviantArt, Patreon, Twitter, and links for the different books in the Tales from the Omni Vault universe. Your support is naturally appreciated. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.